Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Contractor Evolution. Look, if you are looking for an inexpensive but effective upgrade to your brand, the answer is client testimonials. Videos of your happy clients talking about how pleased they were with the experience they had with your company. See, the modern homeowner doesn't really care about what you have to say about your own business or service. And why should they? You're biased. It's your business. Of course you're going to say how amazing it is. 50 plus years of constant bombardment from advertisers and brands has made today's consumers a bit more scrupulous and a bit less gullible. And this is why getting clients to sing your praises is orders of magnitude more effective than you singing your own. It's pretty simple. I'm a huge proponent of capturing and disseminating client testimonials for a number of reasons. They're cheap, they are versatile as hell. You can put them on your website, your social media, in your sales process, and about 8 other places too. People watch more video content than they read these days anyway. And lastly, the social proof from actual customers is way more persuasive. So today on the show, Joseph Hughes from Contractor Dynamics is here to unpack why they work, how to capture them, where to put them, among other things. Joe and his team of 12 at Contractor Dynamics are a marketing training solution for contractors who want to equip themselves with the knowledge needed to build a stronger brand, launch more effective campaigns, and make lead generation and revenue predictable. He was a great guest for us and was kind enough to leave behind a clean and simple one-pager on how to get started with testimonials, and you can find that, as always, using the link in the description.
You're watching Contractor Evolution, where we unpack the systems, tactics, and skills you need to take your fast-growing contracting business to the next level.
You're here to learn what it takes to scale up, work less, and increase profitability. You've come to the right place.
Stay tuned to learn what separates the new breed of contractor from the old school, and welcome to your ultimate guide on the business of contracting.
Okay, we're rolling. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing excellent, Benji, man. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Contractor Evolution. I wanted to start actually by offering you my condolences. You're a New Jersey native, and this is just, we're talking a few days after your New York Giants football club got publicly destroyed by the Eagles. And, it's just, that's just life in business. Just when you think you're getting ahead, you're really getting somewhere, you get humbled.
Yeah, but that is business and life, because if you zoom out a little bit, like, we exceeded expectations
by a mile
as a Giants team a lot this year. So I think, like, as entrepreneurs, we get so myopic and we're like, man, I took an L today. But then you have to take a step back and say, well, where were we 12 months ago or 6 months ago?
It's such a good point. On one hand, 38-7, yikes. And then on the other hand, you think about the chatter around the team in August of last year. Nobody expected anything. So you guys are in good shape. Brian Daboll's a great coach. I have this weird soft spot for Danny Dimes, and I think you guys are going to just continue to grow and get better this year. This, sadly, is not a football podcast, though. So today we're going to talk about testimonials, client testimonials, why they are an inexpensive but effective brand asset to start creating and collecting, how to film them and grab them in a way that's a little bit smoother and just gives you a better final product, where to put them on your website or in ads or a whole slew of other places. But so that's what we're going to talk about. But I wanted to start with kind of a philosophical question, Joe. When you think about the marketing environment today and today's consumer compared to, to use an extreme example, like 50 years ago, you sort of think of like the classic, like Madison Avenue style of commercial where it's like, buy Colgate for fresher breath and white teeth. And where we've shifted is to a place where, in my opinion, buyers, consumers really don't care a ton about what you have to say about yourself or your product. It's not something they weight super heavily. Whereas what other people, buyers, users, clients say about you is weighted much more heavily. I wondered if you maybe just wanted to weigh in on that kind of thought or that pattern we're seeing.
For sure. Yeah. If you look back to like the Mad Men days, it's like we trust whatever is put in front of us and we go out and buy that. And some of the biggest brands today are a result of that sort of mass advertising, for sure. And yeah, we we're in a day and age, especially what's gone on in our world the past few years. I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but like, maybe you call it fake news, or you're not trusting of the media,
Totally.
social media, where anyone and everyone can go on and create an Instagram profile and, touch up their pictures and appear to be something that they're not. Anyone could build a really good looking, slick looking website and, ask their friends to leave reviews on the website. And you can look like, this established business or a business coach or what have you. There's just this like general sense of I don't know, I say
Skepticism.
mistrust, but like, yeah, we don't trust things at face value like we once did, right? So we are doing our own research. We're making our own decisions. We're we are taking more ownership over that process instead of just being kind of eating what's being fed to us, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, and we won't go down that rabbit hole. But you're right. There is a pronounced spike in skepticism or mistrust of like what is put in front of people. No matter what side you come down on this, just broadly speaking, people are like, I don't know about that. I really need to fact check. I really need to triple check. So, I mean, that kind of lends itself well to testimonials, because it's, you might be able to come up with some clever copy. You might be able to hire a graphic designer and make a nice logo. You might be able to fake some Google reviews. I tell you what would be really hard to fake is getting an actual person sitting on camera talking in detail about the service that they just got from you. That there's a level of trust and transparency and realness about that I think fits well into this day and age.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, video testimonials they've always been a key asset, and I think they're getting more they're more heavily weighted and more important to have these days, again, with that heightened level of skepticism for sure. That combined with the fact that we consume video content on social media, on our mobile devices at a rate that we never have before. And, that's not slowing down. That's only going to increase, over year. So, those two factors combined just make having those video testimonials like such a huge asset, because people, again, yeah, like you said, people aren't going to take what you say at face value, but they want to be able to identify, like, your prospective clients, customers. They want to be able to identify with people that were in their shoes and people just like them that you have helped in the past. And that's such a big trust builder these days. People are doing their own research. Even those people that are referred to your business, right? Like they're referred to your contracting business. They're going to go online and do their own research. Like we're no longer even taking those referrals from our best friends at face value anymore. So we want to see people that are similar to us, that you've helped out, and we want to feel that level of comfort and certainty before we reach out to you. So that's a big thing.
That comment about the video consumption thing, like if you were a small business owner and you have, you always have finite resources and competing priorities and you're trying to decide what to do. Like, do people read anymore? I mean, I'll maybe just say my own bias. I love to write. I love to read. I think written word is always going to be a part of our brand to some degree. But if you're looking for what's easy, what's expedient, and what's going to get you a result, would you make the case that kind of leaning into video is better than other forms of communication, just simply because of the way algorithms and platforms have changed the way we take in information?
Yes, certainly people do read. I did a decent amount of reading as I was kind of prepping for this podcast episode to make sure that my stats are backed up and all that sort of thing. But we consume video at a super high rate. The social media platforms, they know that. So your average video on, say, Facebook or Instagram is going to get 8 times more engagement than like an image or a text post, right? That's just because those platforms know that humans consume video at a higher rate and they want to keep us on their platforms. So therefore, they're going to serve us more of what we want. And so, that is absolutely the case. And more people, the stats out there, depending on what you look at, between 70 and 90% of people are consuming video before they make a purchasing decision. So, that could be a demo for a product, that could be a video testimonial, that's all sorts of types of videos. But we are doing that level of research because again, doing my research for this particular episode, I would go to a website, I would look at some stats, and I click around and I go to the about page for the website that was giving me the stats. Like, who are these guys?
Yep.
Is this trustworthy? Whereas like even 5 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, well, these guys said that 80% of people do this. But now I'm going like 2 or 3 layers deeper to look at, like, where is this data coming from? And, one of the stats, I ended up at Google. I was like, all right, well, I can stop there. Like, Google's pretty authoritative. Like,
Sure.
I can stop my research there. But, people might see a video testimonial for your contracting company, and they might even go Google that person or search for that person on Facebook, if that person is named in the video testimonial, right? So people are doing that level of research.
Do you have a sense for how much, if it's a percentage or, do you have a feel for how much of a buying decision? We're talking about contractors and home service businesses. So how much of the buying decision over a kitchen reno or a backyard landscape job or a pool install or a new roof, whatever, like how much of that buying decision is done before that client even reaches out to the contractor?
Yeah, I mean, if those stats exist as far as those segments of a pool build or a kitchen remodel, I'm not sure. That would be really cool.
I just made those up, just in broad strokes.
Yeah, one of the stat that I like is actually from Google. The one I was referencing is that 70% of the buying decision is made before someone contacts a company for the first time, and that's not just even contracting; it's just across all industries, and that's 70%, right? That's a lot. So again, people refer to your business, they're going online, trust but verify. People are looking for a roof or a kitchen remodel or a pool, like they're doing research, right? So that's why, like, we'll get to it, but that's why we need to be out there to show up when they are doing that research. Because, if we're not showing up, if we don't have video, if we don't have video testimonials, we don't know how much potential revenue and potential business we're losing out on because we don't even get a chance. Like, we're not even getting the phone call or the website visit because they can't find us.
So let's talk about client test. Let's kind of zoom in on client testimonials. Do you want to maybe just provide a super simple definition of this so we and the listeners are on the same page of exactly what we're talking about? I kind of have one in my mind, but what's yours?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. Just to define what we're talking about here, it's a past or current customer, client that is on video talking about their experience working with your contracting company, or it could be any company, of course, but we're talking about contractors here. So someone that is talking about their experience working with you.
Super simple. And who should be filming them? Is there a time during the life cycle of the project that we should be trying to capture them? And where would we shoot them? Is it in their front yard? Is it in their kitchen? Does it matter? Maybe let's start with those questions.
Well, traditionally, Benji, you would have the final product. The client's all happy. They got their new kitchen. They got their new roof, whatever it might be, and they're super happy. Like, that's fantastic. However, don't limit it to that. Like, you can get a video testimonial from a homeowner who is so excited about, like, the design phase of their kitchen. They're just like, man, Benji, like, you and your team are amazing. You guys are I've been searching for someone like you to take care of me like this. Your communication is great. I love you guys. Like, that's an excellent opportunity to say, hey, Mrs. Jones, I really appreciate that feedback, and we can get into some scripting, but would you mind saying that on video? Like, that type of thing really helps. So we've done that as a company as well, and a lot of our clients have too. Any stage where they're just like so happy, they're relieved that they found the right person, the right company. That could be an excellent opportunity. You don't want to make it more about you than about them, so you have to be careful and tactful in the way you ask, but any point really is a great point.
Typically, they're done at the end of a project, but you could make the case to do them even earlier, depending on the scope of the job and their kind of excitement level through the journey. What kind of gear do you think is best? I mean, the cameras on iPhones right now are pretty unbelievable. Like, I'm all about high production quality. We've got like 5 cameras in the studio. We've got a video producer. Like, we're bullish on that, but not everyone has big budgets for this kind of thing. Like, what kind of gear is required? Is there sort of a quality minimum or quality floor that you need to be above, or can we literally just pull out an iPhone and capture someone?
Both. So just like looking at some of the clients that we worked with over the years, they'll do a mix of both, right? So they'll have kind of an SOP for what I just was explaining, like, hey, you're the project manager, you're the sales rep, you're out there, you're closing out the job. Mr. Jones is like super happy with everything. And right there, you know, you don't need to say, hey, can we schedule next Tuesday to come out with a video crew and get a video testimonial? Like there's a little bit more of a barrier there, right? Like there's friction there. But you can make it frictionless and say, hey, Mr. Jones, like I'm going to take out my phone. Would you mind just saying that on video? So like that is absolutely an SOP that you should have, that you should empower your team with as well. So it's not just upon the owner or like the marketing director at your company to do. And then, you know, what some of our clients will do is they will plan some more professional ones out in advance. So you might line up like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 customers in one day. Okay, next Tuesday, we're going to line these people up back to back. We're going to bring our video guy or girl around and we're going to get a really professional set of testimonials there. And so having a mix of both is really good. Like the professional ones are great, right? You can use those in multiple formats. But the iPhone ones, like they're real, they're authentic. So don't think that because it's not this super highly produced thing that it's not valuable. A lot of times those can appeal to people in a much stronger way because of how, you know, off the cuff and real they are.
How do you pick, you obviously, I think you want to like be a little intentional about which clients you pick. I mean, an obvious distinction to make is like, don't pick the clients who didn't like the job you did. But like, are there other things that you might be keeping an eye and an ear out for with the client as far as like how talkative they are, their demographics, the satisfaction level? Like what are some good tells that, hey, like this person would make for a great testimonial. Let's capture them.
Yeah, excellent question. This should be part of your process and part of your, you know, whether it's your sales team, your entire company, that you're planning out at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of each quarter, and setting a target. Hey, we want to get 6 video testimonials this quarter, okay? And maybe you do choose demographics. Maybe you're choosing, hey, we want to get one from empty nesters. We want to get one from that first-time home buyer. We want to get one for whatever it might be, a tenant build-out if you do commercial, right? And so you can actually make that hit list of who you want. And then in your weekly meetings, weekly sales meetings, if you want, you go around the table and say, hey, you know, who's got a cool client that we can potentially target for, and target sounds like a bad word, but identify for a video testimonial. And be realistic, because you might have an amazing client who's so over the moon happy with you, but they're just not going to get on video, right? Like I haven't found a way to force it. I've asked clients and, you know, we'll ask clients and some are like, yeah, we love you guys, but I just, you know, I don't want to be on video, or I just like to keep a low profile.
Sure.
So you just have to know that going into it. You might have 10 people on your list. You only get 3 yeses. But that's just the name of the game, right? And then you're going to have people that are very excited. They're like, yeah, absolutely, Benji, I'd love to do it. And then you put a camera in front of their face and they're like, I can't do this, you know? And that's just reality, right? You just got to roll with it.
Matt,
planning it out and you know, letting your team know to like look for that. Okay. That's in the back of their mind. You're not waiting until you need one to go out there and say, hey, who can we find? Right. It's something that you're being intentional about and you're planning on.
Your comment about like people being super excited and then choking up. Matt, our video producer who's behind the camera right now, his head is just nodding like this because he's been in those situations so many times. Like, this is going to be great. This person is so talkative, and then the lights go on and the camera goes on and they just clam right up, and it's one word answers for everything, and it's just they're so awkward. Like, let's get out of here. Just going back to a point that you made that I think is super important is the demographic. So. Okay, I don't want to overcomplicate this. If you're just like, if you have nothing in place, like just go capture some stuff. But if you are a little bit maybe more intermediate level as a marketer and a brander, and you kind of think about this stuff, one thing to be hyper aware of is, do you have an ideal client profile? You actually might have a couple, probably you do. You should be looking for clients that resemble that ideal client profile, that look like them, that talk like them, that sound like them, everything. They kind of fit the role, they fit the part, because you are, like, this is sort of marketing 101. You want to magnetize more people like that to your brand. So if you work really, really well with married couples from 40 to 50 and live in this neighborhood, blah, 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 and you go get, some, 70, some baby boomer male who's kind of a bachelor and like doesn't fit the profile. I wouldn't say that it necessarily hurts. Something is better than nothing if you have nothing, but the more you can really aim towards that client profile, I think the better off you are. And I just thought you said that really well. Let's talk about the questions that we should be asking. When you sit down with someone, you'll say you just maybe you have a professional camera, maybe just an iPhone, whatever. At some point you do want to kind of initiate a conversation. Are there questions that you ought to be asking the client that extract the messaging you want to attach to your brand?
Yes. And you have to feel this out a little bit, because some people, you might just want to, they might be more naturally inclined to be on video, and you can just hit record and let them say what they want. Right. Especially if they're a little bit nervous, you don't want to you can ask them, right? You can ask them, like we've asked them, hey, like, do you want some guidance on this, some coaching, or do you just want to wing it, right? If they wing it, it's going to be authentic, but you might not get those really valuable nuggets that you're really looking
bites
for, right?
Yeah.
Like we have video testimonials from some of our clients, and I'm like, yeah, it's okay, but like, man, I wish they said this because they crushed it in this area, So yeah, ideally, like you have, you at the contracting company, or your video guy or girl, whatever, you're kind of coaching them through it and asking them questions. So basic, what is your name? Where do you live? How did you hear about us? Were you considering other companies, and why'd you choose us? They don't have to mention other companies, of course, but were you considering other companies? How did you make that decision-making process to choose us? Were you pleased with the work that's done? How do you feel about the final product? Would you recommend us? And is there anything else you'd like to add? And that's pretty simple. That's like 6, 7, 8 questions that you can kind of zip through. And, they might not have great answers for a couple of them. So that's when you can edit those out and just kind of include what you want in there. But that's a pretty good, basic stuff that we all learned in grade school, right? Beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
By the way, guys, if you're listening and you want Joe's been super generous and has provided kind of a framework for how to do this well. And it includes a line of questioning that you should ask. We're going to make it available as a download in the description. So go click that link. You can download it as a PDF and it's yours to keep. And it just would give you a very simple and linear checklist to follow if testimonials are something that you want to add to your brand environment, which they should be. The constant balance of being authentic and just getting a real response, and like also like manicuring or like manufacturing the moment is a constant tightrope, isn't it? You're like how often are you like, you want someone to just be off the cuff and say their ums and ahs and talk how they normally talk, but then also you're like, can you just say this? And it's, unfortunately you can't, they're not a paid actor, but it is, you do need to kind of like find that balance between extracting what you need, but keeping it real.
Absolutely. And get a mix of both, right? Because, different people are going to appeal to different things. And you should ideally ask in your intake when you generate a lead, or you close a deal, hey, well, what did you see? Like, what was it that made you want to reach out to us? And, oh yeah, I saw Karen talking about her kitchen and she loved it, whatever. So asking people will give you a little bit of a feedback loop, so you can maybe, get more of what's working, right? But have a mix, because, we'll get to it, but you can use them in different formats too. So
people get nervous on camera, as we just mentioned. Do you have any secret sauce to just kind of like get the comfort level where it needs to be to articulate things well? Do you hand them a stiff drink? Do you play some calming, massage parlor music in the background, like with nice rain on leaves sounds? Like, what's the secret to just get people kind of relaxed and talking the way they normally talk to? Because if you've done this at all, you've definitely noticed there's often a moment where it goes from like really cool to kind of uptight. So what have you seen work?
Yeah, ideally having, like, you really have to coach customers through it, and having that person that's going to help them relax is huge. So Elizabeth here on our team, anytime we go to like trade shows, is a great opportunity for us to get client testimonials. And Elizabeth is like, just makes people feel at ease. You know, maybe you're getting them to laugh. You're just making them feel comfortable and just like kind of guiding them through. And it's like no big deal. It's a little bit lighter than what they might have imagined. So, you know, having someone with that kind of personality on your team really helps that situation. And yeah, let them know like, hey, we don't have to publish this. We can edit out whatever, you know, doesn't, you know, whatever you don't like, or if you stumble over words, no worries. I do it all the time. You know, we can cut it out. So letting them know it's, you know, it's not like whatever they say is going to be, you know, used against them in the court of law or whatever it might be.
Totally. Yeah. Keep it relaxed.
Yeah.
What is involved in post production? Like, do these need to be heavily edited and kind of like, do they need high production value after the thing has been captured? Can you just like put raw iPhone files up on your website? What's kind of a healthy mix that would be? And keep in mind like how resourced most contractors would be. They probably don't have a full-time video person. They may have a friend who can do a little. They might be interested in contracting this out. Like, what do we need to do after the thing's actually been shot to make this kind of website ready or social media ready?
Yeah, sure thing. As you mentioned, Benji, a lot of this can be done with an iPhone for sure. We have some, you know, on our website that are iPhone. On the front end, as far as like when you're recording, a big thing is the audio, is making sure that you have good sound, especially you're out in a job site. You know, it might have compressors going or trucks or even wind and background noise. That's really going to just cut down on the quality of what you have. So getting good audio from the get is really important. So you might have a little bit of a lavalier or a lapel microphone that you can plug right into your iPhone. That can just make sure that but help you get better sound. So getting that good audio on the job site especially is going to be key. And then editing, yeah, I mean, you can, if it's perfect, sure, you know, go ahead and put it up. If you want, you can, you know, maybe put it into iMovie or something like that and make, you know, cut some things out. You can also go on a freelancing website like Upwork or something like that,
Right.
and get some edits done for, you know, literally a few bucks, and just to, you know, clean up the audio, maybe lighten up the or color correct the video, whatever it might be. Maybe slap your logo at the end as kind of an outro. That can be cool too. So I think a big hurdle is like, all right, well, video testimonials, like I don't have a video crew or video company, or I don't want to pay a few grand to hire a video company. Like there's all these like things that go on in your head, but it can be done, you know, very easily and very inexpensively.
The technical gap between what the contractor's, you know, sort of expertise is and what the expertise needed from the video side is pretty solvable, you think, through sites like Upwork. And like this is throw a few dollars at the problem, maybe a few $100 at the problem, but this is highly solvable. It's not out of reach at all.
Yeah, exactly. And you said a few $100, like that's a great point, or it leads to a good point that I'll make. I like making good points. You know, a video testimonial it's insanely valuable for your business, right? So you don't have to go out there and spend a lot of money, but don't be afraid to spend a few $100, or, you know, if it's a few $1,000 even, depending on your business, to get something like this, because it's going to be an asset to generate a lot more business for your company. So, you know, don't look at it as like, how cheap can I get this done?
No.
You know, there's that minimum level of quality that you want to say, hey, if I use this thing correctly, like we're going to generate, you know, hundreds of thousands, or, you know, millions of dollars in new business from this testimonial.
The other thing that's really great about this type of brand asset is its versatility. And by that, I mean, it can go and do many different things. So you can sit in many different places. Do you have sort of you know, where are the top 5 sort of spots that a video like this belongs, and how do we use them and kind of get the most out of them once we have them?
Yeah, I think most people will say, well, you know, I throw it on my website and that's it. But nowadays, yeah, there's so many places. So you can have, I think your website's a great point, or a great place for it rather. It could be pinned on your, you know, say on your Facebook or Instagram. So you can have that there at the top so people see that. Another place that people don't think of a lot is actually in the sales process, right? So I think that every contracting company should have like a pre-appointment and a post-appointment kind of nurture drip sequence. It could be email, it could be text, it could be a combination of the two. And that's just basically adding value before that appointment, adding some value after the appointment. And it's going to increase your close rate. It's going to accelerate your sales process. It's going to shorten your sales cycle because people are going to see what they need. For example, if you have an appointment with us, one of our guys today, and you're on the fence, you don't sign on today. Most people are going to be on the fence. They have to think about it, right? It's a high consideration purchase. You're going to get 6 or 8 emails over the next week or two with client video testimonials that you can see, different case studies of different types of single owner operators, big companies, whatever it might be, different types of customers. And so yeah, that's a huge place, huge value add where you can use these things.
I love versatility when it comes to like content that you're making. You need to be able to slice and dice it and put it in different environments and kind of extract the most value, get the most juice out of the squeeze. And I was having this conversation literally yesterday about, we get asked a lot about low budget brand upgrades. Like a lot of contractors are like, hey, I'm not at a stage where I can afford a huge fancy branding agency to come in and do everything, but I do want to spruce things up. What would you recommend? And I rattle off a bunch of other stuff. I didn't say this. I realize that there's a little bit of work involved, but if you look at bang for your buck, client testimonials are inexpensive, they're quick to capture, and they do work for you. They do a lot of work for you. You get tons of runway out of them. So I just think like if you're on the hunt for cheap and cheerful things to add to your brand, the testimonials are like literally top of the list.
Absolutely. Great point. And one place I did not put in there was social media ads. We don't have to go down that whole topic, but we practice what we preach. We're doing the same thing right now. You can take these video testimonials and run them as brand awareness ads on Facebook and Instagram in your local market. And for, $5-10 a day, literally, you are getting your testimonial out in front of tens of thousands of people in your market. It's super powerful because you're not just marketing to your next customer, right? Like your goal is to be a top of mind company in your local area. So you want to get in front of anyone that's in a position to refer you, to recommend you, to tag you in a local Facebook group or whatever. And that's it's a great way to make sure that you get as much bang for your buck and get as much mileage out of your testimonials as possible.
Any thoughts on how to automate this process or make it somewhat like constantly be refreshing or adding to your library? Because what I see a lot of the times is someone will listen to a podcast like this and go, I should really do this. And they'll go do it and they'll create 3 or maybe 5. And then they sit there and then 8 years later, it's still the exact, like it doesn't get upgraded or built on top of. So, and again, something's better than nothing. But if you really want to do this well, consumers are looking for recent stuff, like literally how is this video 5 years old or was it filmed 2 months ago? That matters to a scrupulous buyer. Any thoughts on how to automate this process or build an SOP around it or make it so that you, the owner, or your team are capturing this in a very methodical and consistent way through time?
Yeah, I know automation is the sexy word these days, but I don't know if this is something that can be automated, but certainly SOP, part of your process. And I would say, number one, you've got to be bought into this. If you're not, that's cool, whatever, go listen to another episode. But you've got to be bought into like the importance of this, right? So it's got to be tied into the bigger why. What are my business goals and why I need to believe that this is a method for me to increase our revenue, to get better customers, to get more profitable jobs, to recruit better employees and things like that. So you've got to be bought into it. And then, yeah, as I mentioned before, this is something that you should look at on an annual basis, on a quarterly basis. Make it a rock, make it a priority for your company to say, hey, we're going to get 2 this quarter, or we're going to get 6 this quarter, or whatever it might be. And just make that a continual thing that you do. Like, just like you're out there marketing, you're out there recruiting. It's just something that you're always doing. And you're always looking out for it. And don't don't leave it up to you as the owner. Like get your team involved too, because if you leave it up to you as the owner, like as an owner, I know like, it's going to not get done consistently. So recruit your team, like, make it a team effort to do this sort of thing. And that'll help it to be more consistent.
You'd mentioned a few of the sort of benefits just a second ago, like conversion, lead flow, et cetera. But are there any other sort of maybe unexpected tells, like any other sort of like surprising things that a business owner would feel or notice that would let them know, hey, this is really working?
Yeah, I mean, some of the contractors we work with, like it sounds so, not like an ROI, right? Not like a dollar ROI, but they love when they're out and about in town and someone recognizes them, like, oh, you're that guy, right? Like you're the roofer guy, or like, oh, you're Brett. We have a client in Ohio, his name's Brett, and it's like he loves going to the supermarket with his daughters and being recognized. Like that's just for him. That's
a fun thing.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that a lot of people don't think about is recruiting. We're marketing for our customers, right? But we're always marketing for our next team member. So like building that, like people out there want to know that they're going to join your contracting company and like you're providing a great service and you're a product and you have happy customers, right? That's going to help you attract top talent as well. So that's kind of a byproduct that people don't think about a lot.
You talk a lot about being the general contractor of your own marketing. And I just wondered if you could kind of unpack that idea. What do you mean by that? And where does that perspective come from?
Yeah, so it's, kind of ties into what we're talking about here, right? So what happens with a contracting company a lot of times is you start up your business because you're great at what you do and you're wearing all the hats and doing all the things. And then, Joe or Benji or someone else is like, hey, you got to be doing this marketing thing. You're like, well, I'm already working 12 hours a day. I'm wearing 15 hats. Like, I don't want to do marketing. I just want to, pay this other guy, this agency or this Facebook ads guy or this Google guy or girl to, make my phone ring and generate those leads. Right. And so what happens is, as a contracting company, you accumulate, a website, then you get a Facebook ads guy, then you get maybe a video person, then a Google person, then like you're doing direct mail and you have all these, what I call marketing subcontractors out there trying to generate business for you. And they're running around like a bunch of subcontractors without a GC. And they are not communicating, right? There's no cohesive plan. There's no blueprint. There's no regular meetings and things like that. So that's like if you had a big remodel project starting next Wednesday and you just told a bunch of subs to show up at this address on Wednesday and do the remodel. Well, they're going to build something, but it's likely not going to be what you want or the customer wants. It's not going to be very efficient. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be expensive. You're going to waste a lot of money, waste a lot of time. And that's exactly what happens with contractors and their marketing. So you've got to take ownership. Like you've got to GC your own marketing, which means that you should be doing some of it in-house, maybe not all of it, but certainly your content in-house, these video testimonials for sure. And you should have a base level of understanding of marketing so that you can collaborate with these subcontractors. You can get them on the same page. You can have a plan. You can have a budget. You can have regular, meetings, reports, tracking, measuring, analyzing, improving. Without that, it's just going to be a mess. So does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. I feel like I've had this conversation so many times where you'll be talking to someone and this isn't a knock on them. It's just like marketing is not their power zone, but you'll hear commentary where they're like, yeah, I hired this marketing guy and like, it's not working and he's an idiot. And then I hired another one and they're an idiot and it's not working. And there's like so much like pain and suffering and mistrust. And, you work in marketing, I work in marketing. We know that this is a bit of a Wild West. It's totally unregulated. And there are so many jokers around. So I do get why people have a bad taste in their mouth. Part of that is the quality of the contractor that you're working with or the service provider you're working with. But a really big part of this that I think needs to be said, like, let's just be honest, like, I think a lot of the time people are scared to take hold and be the GC of their marketing because there's such a knowledge gap that they kind of just want to clean their hands from it. He's doing it. They're doing it. She's doing it. I'm going to go build stuff. And you just make the phone ring. And it just doesn't work like that, does it?
No, and let me use an analogy that maybe some people can relate to. Like if you as a business owner do not understand the basic financials of your business and you go out and hire a bookkeeper, an accountant, outsourced or in-house, and you're like, I'm not a numbers guy. I don't want to deal with that. I just want to freaking swing a hammer. Like you deal with the numbers. Like, okay, you're not going to get the best results that you want. In worst case, you might get taken advantage of. So it's a very similar thing. Like you don't have to be a certified public accountant to understand your numbers, but you do need to understand the basics so that you can work with someone and collaborate and get the best results, right? So very similar to that.
Yeah, it's part of it is just like accepting your role as an entrepreneur. Now, hey, you said you wanted to do this. You said you wanted to be a business owner. This is now fucking on your job description. Financial management is on your job description. Brand building and outbound marketing is on your job description. This is something that you need to be good at. If you are uninterested and just want to do the clean your hands of it thing, just go work for another company because this is literally your role. And I think the other analogy I like about like being the GC of your marketing, like building a home, let's use a simple example. Marketing is it's so multidisciplinary. Like there is and it's highly specialized. Like a plumber is wildly different. The skills they have, the tools they use, the output they create is wildly different than a drywaller. Any builder's going to know that. With marketing, it's the exact same thing. Like your SEO person is completely different than your Facebook ads guy or the branding agency you work with. These are completely different skill sets. And so it's your job a little bit to be sort of like what are those people at the front of an orchestra just directing it all? Like you're kind of like a conductor. You're making sure that it all is, there's an overarching strategy that governs what each of these specialized people are doing. There's deadlines, there's a critical path, there's certain results and ROI you expect to get out of it. There's checks and balances along the way. And that is with the entrepreneurs that we've seen be super successful with this, that is how they do it. They're not doing it all themselves. That's definitely true. It's too much, but they are heavily involved from a leadership standpoint on what goes out the door for public consumption, why it goes out the door, and what it's meant to do for the company.
Absolutely. It's so true. It is your responsibility as a business owner. I heard Igor say it on a previous episode with you guys that, he's involved. He knows the marketing, he knows the finances, like what goes in and what comes out. And that's something that as a business owner, like, yes, it's your responsibility. That's what we signed up for. It's irresponsible to your team members, to your employees, to your family, to your customers for you to turn a blind eye to that stuff. Maybe it's not what you want to hear, but like, there's things in hey, I'm not throwing rocks from like, a place of like, I've never done anything wrong. Like there are things that I don't like in my business that I've turned a blind eye to or ignored, and they come back and bite you. So we need to learn these things.
Any other thoughts on this sort of conversation of like doing your marketing in-house versus contracting it out? It's a debate to some degree. What are your thoughts on the pros and cons of each?
I think a healthy company does a little bit of both, and we do, and we're a marketing training company, and we ran an agency for 7 years where we did the done for you marketing services, and now we're a training company, so we train contractors on how to do it. I'm not saying that in a salesy way, just to like give you some context there. And the reason that we morphed into a training company is because we see that it is imperative these days for any company, whether you're a contractor or a chiropractor or whatever it is, to have some marketing done in-house. And that's going to be your content. That's going to be video content. Like you can't hire, a Facebook ads guy and 2 time zones away and, expect them to generate amazing leads for you. Like they'll generate a quantity of leads, right? But they're not going to be people that know, like, and trust you, right? That's got to come from in-house. So I'd recommend, what I say to every contractor is, it doesn't have to be you as the owner, but someone in your company should be working on marketing 10 hours a week at a minimum consistently, right? So if that's it could be a full-time marketing manager, it could be a spouse, it could be an admin person, it could be, one of your sons or daughters, it could be, one of our clients hired his mom to do his marketing, right? So someone other than the owner, ideally, because as an owner, you're pulled in all different directions, working on marketing 10 hours a week consistently, doing some of it in-house, and then liaising with those different subcontractors for the more technical aspects, right? Like you're not going to run your own Google ads in-house. I don't recommend that. It's very complex. But at least you should know enough to talk with that Google ads company or agency or guy to have a productive conversation and, continually improve. So that's my answer, kind of a hybrid approach. And, there's always this sliding scale of time and money, right? Like I think too many contractors are quick to like throw money at it. Whereas what they need to do is they need to invest some time and a little bit of money. Like you can't get away from, you're not going to spend, it doesn't matter how much money you spend. If you're not spending any time on it, then you're selling yourself short.
It's so well said. That on that note, like, do tell us a little bit about Contractor Dynamics, what you guys are up to, and where people can connect if they want to.
Yeah, sure. So we are a marketing training company for contractors, and we work with companies that are startups and up to $50 million a year companies and everywhere in between. And we train them on how to create their own content, run their own marketing, really build out a marketing machine inside their company so they have more control over their growth, so they can grow with more consistency and predictability, right? Try to get rid of that revenue roller coaster that all of us have experienced. And that's what we do, work with companies all throughout North America. And you can learn more at contractordynamics.com. We've got a lot of content on there, links to all of our content, some training videos and things like that. So we're all about education first. And so I encourage you to check out some of our content and then, of course, get in touch with it if you want to learn more.
We'll link the website in the description as well. And just another reminder that download that one pager specifically on testimonials. Is just a very nice, clean overview of how to start doing these well. If you are nowhere on this and you'd like to get started, that would be my advice on a great place to begin. Joe, thank you so much for your time today. This was awesome. We'll have you back again soon. And thank you.
I appreciate it, Benji. Thanks so much. It's been fun.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Contractor Evolution. If you've already subscribed to our channel, consider sharing this episode with another contractor who you think needs to hear it.